Hi guys and gals, Froggy here. No, Froggy doesn't skateboard, but my son does. And what I've got here is his new board. He transferred his trucks and wheels on there, but one of the nuts, not this one, I threw it out already, one of the nuts had all the threads stripped out of it. Well, this one's a good nut. I'm going to put it back in there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to clean up the threads on the axle so that the threads on the nut, so it goes on there really nice, because the ends, as you know, get all beat up, and then when you take the nut off and change your wheels out, and then you try to put the nut back on, it's hard to get it back on. This is a die. It's a tap and die set. Here, let me show you the whole thing. You can get these at Home Depot, online, Harbor Freight, at a automotive parts store. It's a tap and die set. These are taps, these are dies. And what it does, what the dies do, or what they both do, is cut the threads and clean the threads up and make the threads nice again. You get a male and a female side. I won't make any jokes about that or get into it very much. But what I'm going to use, and this axle happens to be a 5/16 24 NF. NF, I think, stands for fine. Froggy's not exactly sure, but you need to do the right one. Basically, if you try to cut new threads with the wrong die, you're just going to mess up your axle. You'll have to throw it away or get different size nuts. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how to do it. I like to take the axle off and put it in a vise that holds it nice and tight. Let me make sure I'm still in frame here. There we go. What you have to do is very carefully, you're forcing it onto the axle. You're forcing the die onto the axle, and you're cutting new threads into this beat up end, the end that's been smacked against the ground and everything. You got to make sure it's squared off. What does squared off mean? Well, not like that, not like that, not like that. It's got to be squared off, just as if you were putting a nut on there. So let me take a see, I gotta make sure that my handle for the die doesn't hit anything. It looks like it'll clear okay. And I did one of the other ones on this board, well, not on the board, but on the trucks, and came out okay. And I think it was a little more beat up than this one. What I'm trying to do is to get it started, get it cutting. And once it gets past that end part that's beat up, it'll follow the good threads and it'll turn very easily. I'm putting some pressure this way also and keeping it square. Tighten it up a little bit. I don't want it moving as I do this. Oh, it's moving again. Come on, stay there. I got it. Okay. Once it, you got to go by feel. You have to feel it. You're going to feel it cutting, but then you feel it start to go, excuse me, start to go a little bit easier. And all of a sudden it's not wobbling anymore because it's in the threads and it's found its, you know, it's not cutting so much because it doesn't have to cut so much because the threads that are on the inner part of the axle, they're good. It's just the threads that are beat up on the outer part of the axle. So you turn it all the way in and then turn it back out. But the key thing I'm going to tell you again is to make sure you get the right size. If you get the wrong size, you're going to be out of luck. You're going to get some oil. I'm putting some oil on the cutting parts here, and I'm going to go one more time. Now these nuts, as you know, have it's called a nylock. It's a little nylon insert into the nut that is that locks it so that you so it doesn't back off while you're skating. Okay? See how good that is? Now, when you do this, you're actually cutting new threads, but you're in a sense you're kind of damaging, not damaging, but you're using up some of this axle, so that if you cut it 2 or 3 times, that's probably the end of it. I don't think you'll be able to get much more about that. You'll have to buy a new truck or new axle. But this one came out pretty good. Get my new nut on here. I'm going to try it. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be nice. Now, Froggy's going to show you a little trick here. This has got oil on it, right? Because I just put oil on it to make it cut easy. Now I want to get the oil off. So, this is brake parts cleaner. It dissolves oil. Now, it doesn't feel too good on your hand. You can wear gloves if you want to wear gloves. Now here's the trick. This is Loctite. Now once I've cut an axle, and actually this is not a brand new nut. I wish my son had got some new ones, but this is this one's been used a couple of times. I'm going to put some Loctite. What does Loctite do? It locks the nut on the same way this plastic insert or a lock washer. I don't have to put a lot. I'll just put it on half because it's going to get all spread around when I put the nut on. So that Loctite will help because I'm cutting these threads down every time I cut it. It goes down a little bit, down a little bit. But the Loctite is going to make the nut stay on there. Now, let me put this wheel back on. Let me see if I'm still in frame. Yeah, still in frame. Put this wheel back on. And I think it had a little washer on each side. Looks like these are new wheels. No, I'll have to take it off because it won't go on far enough. I'll keep it over here so the camera's still good though. I guess he wants to face that stuff in. It's got a little washer on that side. Got a wheel. A little washer on this side. And a nut. So, I'm not going to show you how to put this back on there. You guys all know how to do that, and gals. But hopefully that'll help you out to clean up the threads. That's what I call it, cleaning up the threads on the axle. You need to get a die. It needs to be the right size. You know, maybe they're all 5/16 24. I'm not sure. But do that, otherwise you'll ruin your axle. And oh, too tight. This is kind of a, there we go. My son likes them a certain way. I think that's about there. Okay, so that's it. If this helps you out, give me a thumbs up. You want to see more from Froggy, which might even include some skateboard repair, although most of it's automotive repair. Subscribe to my channel. It's free. See you later. Froggy out.